Good morning on the West Coast, good afternoon on the East Coast, and welcome to 30 Minutes to Better Business Results, or Better Business Results in 30 Minutes. We've changed our slide, we've changed our branding just a little bit, so I think you'll probably notice that on the show. We're the show that works with business owners, executives, and sales organizations to accomplish goals a lot faster than ever before. And the concept here that we're dealing with is we interview business owners and executives to understand where they're going or what they're trying to get accomplished, and we bring tools, ideas, and concepts that allow them to develop ideas and action items to move their business forward faster than ever before. We know that there are 53 million or more, actually it's more now, freelance contractors in the United States. And these are all people that have might have worked in corporate America, might have had different jobs at different points, but have decided to go out and start their own business. And they're having to learn how to be entrepreneurs. And we know that the types of things that we do here and then helping them to achieve these 3 action items a week. And in 1 week, if you did 3 things, it probably doesn't mean a whole lot. But if you did 3 things a week, every week, for a year, you'd have almost 150 new action items that would allow you to grow your business and proceed. So today, our guest is CEO of Millennium Knight Enterprises.
Correct. That's correct, Tom Dillon.
Mr. Tom Dillon. Yes, I have to practice Millennium Knight and make sure that I get that right.
I stumble over my company's name myself, Millennium Knight, and sometimes I just lock up and I can't say it.
So tell me, how did Millennium Knight come up? How did you come up with that?
So Millennium Knight, remember the Y2K problem?
Yeah.
So I was that knight in shining armor that helped companies through that Y2K problem. And so Millennium from the Y2K and Knight, you know, that knight in shining armor. So I helped Los Angeles Times with their Y2K issues, and I helped Transamerica Life companies with their Y2K. And so my company came out of that service.
Okay, and so maybe we're going to go to like MK or something like that, so we don't have to remember millennium.
That would be fine.
And then I have a hard time spelling it. Yeah, that's a whole other story. So
right.
okay, so you're going to share and help our viewers understand a little bit about some of the IT stuff that you do and how it works and why it works the way it does.
Sure. So Millennium Knight offers computer maintenance services. So we actually.
Well, before we get on,
sure,
let's have a seat.
That would be great.
All right. So we talked a little bit about, and we're going to get into some of the products and services. We talked a little bit about, where Millennium Knight came from, right? But how did Tom Dillon get involved in, IT services?
So as a child, I've had this passion for electronics and anything tinkering. And so I took that on to college and got my degree in electrical engineering. And then from there, I actually fell in love with the programming. So I became a Microsoft certified professional programmer and spent 16 years in systems with Los Angeles Times, another 3 years in systems with Transamerica Life companies. I helped several companies start up and develop the back ends for that. And from there, I realized that the skill set that I developed over these 25 years, I could help small businesses get 99.9% uptime on their systems, and they could have that high level of enterprise service for their small business, so they can become, they can count on their technology to just be there working for them every day.
So, one of the things I like, and we've talked before, is this concept of 99.9% uptime. I mean, how does that impact your customer? What does that mean to them?
Well, they can just focus on their business because they'll walk into their office in the morning, their emails are going to be working, their computer is going to be up, it's going to be fast. They can just count on that technology working for them during their business, so they don't have to be distracted by servers down. I have 20 people that can't do anything now. Now I can't generate revenue because I'm focused on a technology problem. That doesn't need to be that way. You hire the technology professional. Millennium Knight will come in. We will maintain your system, stay proactive, and make sure that doesn't happen to you. The 3 nines of uptime is so critical to business. It improves that company's bottom line because they're using technology to empower their company.
So if I were to calculate this out, that means I would lose 1/10 of a day every 100 days.
That's correct.
Right. So you're really talking about a maximum of 3 hours downtime a year. Right? Three and a half hours or something.
3 or 4, and And rarely do I have a client that actually has that. You know, that is our goal, is to get to less than 4 hours of downtime per year.
Okay, and you're able to do that with a bunch of different clients at the same time.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay. And so understanding, I mean, that's kind of, sounds like that's probably your key value contribution.
That is the value that Millennium Knight brings. You know, we're much better than our competitors.
And so when you look at that and you look at your service package and your service policy, would you consider that to be your #1 competitive advantage?
Absolutely. Our pricing, we are the best value in the market to provide your service and uptime for a very affordable cost.
And I think you told me that you're Ohio State grad.
That's correct.
So a Buckeye fan.
Yes.
Clearly, that doesn't ever go away, does it?
You know, you spend time with the team, and I remember my dorm actually was looking out over the football stadium, so I got to see the games from my dorm. So yeah, that's a constant.
Okay, and then you mentioned Transamerica as one of your key projects or key clients.
Yeah, I spent 3 years as a lead developer for Transamerica Life Companies, and you know, there, if you make a programming mistake, that affects 10,000 users using that system. You don't do that. So you put the quality assurance and you put the steps in to make sure that your program, before you roll it out, works. And you also plan for that disaster recovery for, you know, if the change doesn't, you have a quick rollout strategy that gets you back to fully operational in no time at all.
So you've got experience actually maintaining this level of uptime with some pretty healthy clients.
Absolutely. I did the disaster recovery exercises for Transamerica. So we simulated losing their data center, and then within 24 hours, they were able to put a call center together with 150 people on brand new equipment with restored data. And, you know, 24 hours later, they're able to be running in the disaster recovery area.
Pretty impressive. LA Times also doing some work? Or did some work?
Yes, Los Angeles Times probably, we automated the way the newspaper bundles got onto the truck. And by doing that, we actually saved the company $6 million per year in labor because we had all of this step in automation. So, you know, that was one of the largest projects that I did. And I got a little glass plaque to, you know, so that I can remember that contribution.
So while you're talking about 99.9% uptime, and we all need that, and in fact, you know, even my small business here, I don't think I'm up at 99.9% time. I mean, I'm up a lot, and I actually spent some time in technology, so I'm fairly fluent, but not nearly as much as you are, and probably am, you know, I still have more than 4 hours a year in downtime.
Right.
And so most companies probably do, especially small companies that don't have an opportunity to.
Right. And to fix that, many of them don't know that you know, they're paying GoDaddy for an email system that has a lot of problems. Well, I can move them for the same cost onto a platform that Microsoft uses to host, you know, tens of millions of email accounts reliably. Intermedia actually sells services to Microsoft to host Exchange accounts reliably. I'm also a Google Apps partner, so that I can give you the Google Apps backend and tie your company together, you know, very affordable email systems. It includes shared calendaring, you know, distribution lists, and full enterprise features. But the small business typically doesn't know about this. They started their own website, put it on GoDaddy, and they just don't know any better. So I can help educate them and show them what's available to them.
So we're going to talk about small business because you're a small business and I'm a small business as we go along. The other thing I wanted to catch on briefly is this return on investment theme that we've been talking about. So when you helped the LA Times, I mean, you saved
$6 million annually from then on after we implemented these systems.
And the investment was?
Well, so for that system, that was a large system, so they probably put $350,000 into it. But for a $6 million return, you're right, it was a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's a 20-to-1 return. And that's that. In fact, as much as uptime is important, that return on investment on technology investments is really
the critical value add that I empower businesses to use their technology affordably and get that great return.
Yeah, because if I can get 5-to-1 or 10-to-1, 15-to-1, I mean, those are amazing returns. And it's so easy. One of the challenges I have, and I think a lot of small business owners have, is you know, what technology do I invest in? And it's so darn hard because it changes every darn day.
Right.
Right. If I'm going to run my business, I need to spend time working on what I do with my business. not on technology, and yet I have to have technology.
Right. Well, so going back to my passion, one of the reasons that I love technology is I signed on for lifetime learning. So I've been teaching myself, going to seminars, getting education for the last 35 years, and I enjoy it. I love staying on top of this to find out what the alternatives are for my partners, my business partners that I help with their technology.
Well, and so just about every small business owner, unless you're an IT services professional, is going to need an IT services professional to help them work through this thing. And getting 99.9% or getting the right investments or doing those kinds of things is pretty amazing. So, talk to me about, and I didn't share this with you earlier, but sort of ideal client for you. What's the client that you service most effectively?
Well, so my ideal client has 100 employees and may have one or two IT professionals on their staff. Very often I can go in, and because their IT staff may be junior without the experience, often we can lose one of those people. So immediately my services are free to them, and they're getting greater return. Very often they're going from 80% uptime to the 99.9s, or 99.9.
Or the other side of it is, they could keep those two, right? And
right.
You would become the consultant teacher so that they can do that. Because we were talking about how you set them up so that if something were to happen to you or to Millennium Knight or to any of the company thing, they're able to continue to run. Share a little bit about that.
Sure. So what I have noticed, a lot of my competitors kind of hold their clients hostage. And I don't do that. I partner with the business. The business owns their data. They own their own backups. They own all of this. I document and give them the keys to their own castle so that if Millennium Knight suddenly is out of the picture, I'm not worried about that because we provide so much service that no one has ever asked to leave our partnership. They can run their business and they can hand that documentation either to another IT professional, or by now they probably have someone on staff that says, oh, well, this is what we do, and so they can do all of those steps themselves.
So they're actually getting almost an insurance package with you in addition to the 99.9% of time and the return on investment analysis.
Absolutely, they get to own their technology and be proud that they can run it themselves if necessary.
Okay, well, great. All right, so let's move on to the next stage of the show, which is really you're a small business owner, I'm a small business owner, and we talked a little bit offline about time being the most valuable commodity for you. Tell us a little bit about how your day goes and how your time goes.
Well, sure. So unfortunately, when I transitioned from working for corporate America, and then moved into working for myself out of my home office, the family members suddenly realized, oh, Tom must be retired. He's at home all the time. So they'll call me for those trips to the airport, or someone needs a roll of paper towels or something. So that's one of my biggest distractions, and that's a total time sink. So in our earlier discussions, you actually started to give me some tools for being able to how to address that. So I plan to implement some of those shortly.
Well, and the other challenge that you run into, and we're going to do a little demonstration on this thing called the 3 Eyes of the Business Owner, which is based on the book The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. So every business owner, in fact, let's just go to it, and then we'll kind of walk through it and see if we can use the thing. So we're talking about the 3 Eyes of the business owner, and in the beginning, whenever anybody has a new idea about a business, it's a very entrepreneurial mindset, right? They're very outwardly focused. They're thinking about the marketplace and how their product could fit and everything else like that. It's sounding like something you did when you started your business.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the outwardly focused component of 3 Eyes, but then all of a sudden we start to get a little bit better. We start to get some customers, and in the entrepreneurial mindset, we're asking questions like what if, or how could I, or maybe, or that kind of thing. But then as we start to deliver information to our customers, we're starting to ask a different set of questions. Right? We have to manage the business. Like we start asking questions like how much and when, and how do I get this done? How do I get this scheduled? That kind of stuff. So we're managing it.
Right.
Unfortunately, for a lot of small business owners that really haven't figured out how to scale or aren't really understanding how that works, they end up then becoming this next, we call this googly eyes, right? And this is the technician,
right?
And this is when you're kind of running around doing anything and everything, right? Now, not only are you running around and doing anything and everything for Millennium Knight in many ways, right? But you've also got these other distractions that come after you. because you've got a home office. And I'm certain that a lot of viewers out there have a home office as well. And we have to figure out how we're going to, do some things that might change that, how much we might be able to free up our time.
Sure.
Now, there's a couple other things that I think would be really important, that we had talked about briefly, which is, how do we acquire more clients, and how do we improve marketing process, and how do we do things like that? And we could certainly spend some time talking about that, but I think this is probably the place where our viewers should get a best understanding of what might happen. So let's say that you were going to make a list of all of the things that you spend on your day, right, on a day-to-day basis, right? And you said family concerns and family stuff is something that kind of impinges on your day. How much time per day or week might that be?
Right. I'm guessing that probably is eating up almost 20 hours per week of the available work time, which is a huge bucket of wasted time.
So 20 hours a week.
Right.
So if you could figure out a way to get 20 hours a week, I mean there's a target, right? 20
Absolutely.
Hours a week, you could do a lot in 20 hours.
That's correct.
Right. So what would you do? How would you begin to change that perspective with these distractions?
Well, so at your suggestion, I'm going to write a list of the people that are impinging that time, and when I realize that I'm in a situation that, once again, this is taking me away from my business, I'm going to have a coaching session with each of these people and explain that I need to focus on the business. And so I believe that by having those coaching sessions with each of these people and addressing the issue, I'll probably get 80% of that time back. You're going to have some outliers that require additional input to really drive it home how important that time is. But if I got 80% of the 20 hours, we're talking 16 hours of free time. That would be fantastic.
Right, and we could spend that 16 hours doing business development.
Right. I've spent 25 years as that trained technician. I know how to do the technical side of it. As a new business owner, or actually I've been doing this since 2002, I don't spend enough time in that entrepreneurial area, the manager area, managing those tasks. So the technical skills, those are second nature to me, and that's my passion. That's what I enjoy. It's a reach for me to do the sales process, the entrepreneurial role, and that. And so that's, by freeing that time, I'll have time to work on those areas.
Well, and those are big places where you can go and generate a lot of difference in your business, where you'll be able to provide more service to more clients. Because in a sense, if you're using that 20 hours to do that kind of stuff, that's 20 hours that you can't provide and service your clients. You've got, you're certainly able to service your clients and keep them in 99.9% of time today. But in growing your business and trying to service more clients, that time would make a big difference.
Absolutely.
And what I share with my clients through these sessions is it's sort of the ability to say no.
Right.
Right. No, I can't do that right now. Now, I could wait until somebody makes the call or somebody knocks on the door or something like that and then say no, but I'm still distracted. And I've saved some time because I didn't run off and do it. I've said no. That's a big benefit.
Right.
And the other side of it, or the preemptive strike side of that, is to reach out to them and say, hey, look, this is not the time for you to come knock on my door,
right,
or to make a phone call.
I think to maintain those relationships, that should be a proactive discussion where I reach out to them before I say that no, so that they learn to expect that no, and then by having that discussion with them ahead of time, that they'll be prepared for that.
Well, and there's still emergencies, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Right, and so learning what is an emergency, a legitimate emergency, not would you give me a ride or can you do this thing for me, is really a key component. When I was in corporate America, I would close my door, and that meant don't come in.
Right.
And I have a pretty loud bark. So if somebody came in, I'd really want to know what the heck was going on. The reality is, if my child got hurt at school, bust the door down.
Right, please.
Bust the door down.
Absolutely.
Right? That level of emergency trumps all the other things that have going on.
Right.
But we find that very few things really do that.
Right.
The other thing that we have to do is we have to allocate time to be able to have those conversations with people. Right? We can't just shut them out all the time.
Right.
But we want to do it when you're ready or when it's more effective for you. So you can say, hey, listen, I'm going to keep my door closed for 3 hours or 2 hours or 1 hour or 4 hours. Right.
Right.
And then after that, then I'm up. So we learn we educate the population around us as to when is a good time to have those conversations.
Right.
And that way they know that they're going to get time for you,
Right.
and you're going to make time for them, but it's not going to impact or distract your particular activities.
Right. I thought maybe I could put some kind of like item in a certain location, and if they see that, they know that's heads down time for the business.
Some visual cue,
Right.
right? That some cue that's like a door being closed.
Closed. Right.
Okay. So going back to the 3 eyes of the business owner, and we don't need to necessarily put the slide up, but when we talk about that technician role, right? A lot of times we make this list of all the things that we do, right? And then we say, okay, what are the lowest level tasks, and what would we actually pay somebody else to do for those things?
That's correct.
Right? And so you could do that, and immediately we're not going to necessarily transition those, but we could start to think about how we would transition those.
That's
right?
correct.
So how could we do this, and how could we do that? And so we've identified all the different distractions and which ones we're going to move, and we can move forward in that. And that lowest level task is usually something that's $10 or $20 or $25 an hour or something like that. And if you're trying to earn a rate of $100 or $150 an hour, and you're spending your time doing, you're losing money.
Right. That's not good ROI.
That's not a good ROI.
That's correct.
And so that's an example that you can use with some of your folks in explaining why it is that you can't be distracted or disturbed in this particular case. Now, we know that you pay a manager a little bit more, and the entrepreneur is the person that takes all the risk is going to earn the most out of that. A lot of companies, when they go to, a lot of business owners, when they build their business, they're actually trying to build an asset that they could actually sell at some particular point in time. And when that asset is ready for sale, that means that the technician roles are spinning without a whole lot of work, and you've got a general manager and it's spinning without a whole lot of work, and somebody else might be interested in buying that particular business. And when it comes to the valuation of the business, one of the things that's amazing is, in thinking in terms of how you should spend your time, is that the 80% of the valuation comes from the entrepreneur mode, right? The ideas, the systems, the products, and the services, and 20% comes from the manager and technician role. And so we know that spending time in an entrepreneurial role is the most important. And you can use that story to share with other people why it is that you have to make these particular changes. And if you made those changes with the family, and you were to grow this business to where you wanted it to grow, what would that mean for the family?
Well, the family would have less financial distractions. They wouldn't be as concerned about, paying for the college educations. I've got 2 daughters, there now, and that would be good.
Yeah, and how would you feel about how that whole model works?
I'm confident. After having this discussion with you, it became immediately obvious where I need to focus for the best bang for the buck this week. I actually have some action items to take from this.
Okay, so you got some action items. We're going to talk about those in just a minute.
Sure.
What is so distractions in general is one of the things. What was the next thing on your list that you thought you needed to take care of?
Marketing and sales, and actually, learning the sales role. I have a background in technical. I know the technical aspects of the jobs. My challenge is getting in front of the people and actually completing the sale. So that is the next area that I'll address after I free up this time.
Okay, and we can spend some time talking about when that comes up. All right. So the idea here is to come up with 3 action items that you're going to use to advance your business forward. In this case, we're going to get some time back.
Right.
Right? And what are the 3 action items that you're going to do?
I'm going to make that list of the people that I need to address. I'm actually going to schedule some time to talk to each of those people, and then I'm going to measure the results.
And so when are you going to do this?
Well, Friday is my office organization time. So first thing Friday morning, this will be the #1 agenda.
Okay. And so by this time next week, we could check in, and you will have done it.
That's correct.
And then we'll start to see how we measure the results. And it's probably not going to be instantaneous.
Right. This is, I'm signing on to an ongoing educational role, because at the same time I'm building relationships with these people, so that they can understand what my needs are as well.
Right.
So this is just going to be 100% good all the way around.
Okay. Well, excellent. So you've got your marching orders, and I guess I'd say the last thing we talk about is accountability. How are you going to hold yourself accountable?
Well, so my wife is my business partner, so one of my discussions will be with her. So we'll actually work on this together, and she'll hold me to the task to make sure that this actually happens.
Yeah, and she has to hold herself to the task as well.
Absolutely.
But that's good. As long as you have another partner in there, then you and I will check back a little bit later.
Sure.
So Tom, before we get out of here, and we got like 2 more, 3 minutes, 5 minutes left, how do people contact you if they want to know about Millennium Knight services?
Sure. So my website is millenniumnight.com, and please use your spell check on Millennium, and Knight is with a K. So let's see, my phone number is 909-706-2259, and that actually is the corporate phone, and it goes directly to my cell phone as well. So you'll be talking to me directly.
And then you offer a free service consultation.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's
right.
pretty typical for professional services.
That's correct. We'll sit down and we'll discuss what your needs are, and we'll put a package together. And within several days, you'll know what it would cost to be a partner and be part of the Millennium Knight suite of companies.
All right. Now, Millennium Knight website is accessible on the Better Business Results page if you're at BusinessWhitt.com. So please feel free to go there. And what's that phone number again?
909-706-2259.
Right. So if you're interested in things like 99.9% uptime, who isn't? And better return on investment for your technology investments, Tom and Millennium Knight, great opportunity to take your business to the next level in that case. Tom, I want to thank you for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for inviting me. This has been a real pleasure.
Good. And for those of you that are viewing the show, we're going to be on next week, and I think our guest is Tina Singh, and Tina is an acupuncturist. She'll be telling us a little bit about her acupuncture business and the value and the benefits that it brings. So stay tuned for next week. You can watch this show for a week, and then last week's show will be transitioned to our blog, and you can catch our blog at www.businesswhitt.com. Thanks for joining us, and have a great week.